adhere to biblical principles. Because some songs, you know how you feel. You feel like you need to be in the party. Am I lying? Some songs, you cannot help yourself. Just like a married couple. We know what songs to turn on if we want to get it on, don't we? Are y'all saying no? Oh, young people meeting. Sorry. Young people. But the married people, we know. You know, and the younger people, if you're with your boyfriend and you want to just... No, that's not a Christian setting. Okay. Yeah. All right. Have I answered the question? Did that answer the question? No?
Yes.
I would say so. Here's another question. What do you think about drums in church? That's the perspective, and what do you think about drums in church?
Really?
I think the drums have an appropriate place in church. Drums, we talked about the toph, the timbrel, all of these were percussive instruments that were used in the Bible. I think that, again, people tend to forget. Classical music is filled with drums. It's timpani.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All kinds of music has rhythm. You don't have to necessarily always use sticks with drums. You can use toms, you can use brushes, you can use all kinds of things you can soften the drums. You know, rhythm is part of music. You can't have a rhythmic music. So I believe that drums used appropriately, it's part of the instruments that were listed in the Bible. Percussion. A lot of people get upset with the trap set. You know, they say the trap set was not part of the biblical instrumentation, but percussive instruments were part of the biblical instruments. And so I think that it is based on what is appropriate for your service and your congregation. Not every congregation needs to use drums, and congregations are not wrong when they don't. And the congregations who use drums should use drums appropriately. So everything needs to be done in balance. But I think that sometimes we try to make things a cookie cutter. If drums are okay, then everyone must have drums. That's not the case. Some congregations never need to use drums at all, ever. Some congregations may always use drums. But no matter which option you choose, it should be appropriate and God should be pleased.
Thank you for that. We've had quite a few questions come in talking about a particular gospel artist. I'm just going to ask the question because we've had a few texts. So the question is, what do you personally think about Kirk Franklin, the gospel artist? Many people listen to him consider
gospel
he shouldn't. Do you think he is an acceptable artist, and do you think his songs are lyrically sound for us to listen to?
I think that Kirk Franklin knows his target audience. Kirk Franklin is one person that I do give a lot of credit to because Kirk Franklin knows his target audience. Kirk Franklin is trying to target people in the street who party, who dance, who do whatever. People who are not unchurched, that's his target. And so Kirk Franklin, you know, a lot of us listen to his music, and some of his music is very inappropriate for the worship service. But that's not what Kirk Franklin created his music for. He didn't create it for the worship service. Kirk Franklin is trying to seek and save the party-going people who are way out there. And so he uses godly lyrics, and he uses most of the time music that will attract the people who are out in the world. And Kirk Franklin has done a good job of that. What happens is that many times, and again, I'm not talking about every Kirk Franklin song. Some of Kirk Franklin's songs are really very spiritual and sacred and you can feel, but not every one of his songs. And let me just say this. I believe that the music that we use for worship, we should really, really be very specific about the music that we use for our worship services. Not any and every song is appropriate for the worship service. It might be appropriate for us to listen to in other settings. So I think that a lot of Kirk Franklin's music is not appropriate for particularly certain worship services. But then there are some select songs that are. But we have to be discerning discerning and judicious. And that's why it's important, I believe, for worshipers, worship leaders, not to just be musicians, but they have to be ministers and Levites and prayerful and asking God for guidance in every aspect of their lives. Does that help? Who said no? Who said no? Does that help? I mean, this is a very complex subject, and you can't give people black and white answers. I mean, I could sit up here and tell you don't listen to Kirk Franklin at all, and then he comes out with a beautiful song. One song that's appropriate or two songs. So I'm really trying to tell you what I believe, that we have to use biblical principles to be discerning. David said in Psalms 47:7, sing praises with understanding. And we talked about what that understanding is, that we have to examine and be circumspect and watchful with the music.
Amen.
All right, so a question for everybody now, then I'm going to give it to you, Gerald. This question has been texted in. I'm going to read it out to everybody and get your opinion. If you think yes, put your hand up, okay? If you think yes, put your hand up. And if you think no, then I guess you get it down. All right, this question, if it's okay to use for percussion in church coconuts?
How fresh is this guy?